A lot of salespeople never thought they'd be good at selling. They've got up to a certain level. So think of it like in ninja terms, they've become a really strong green belt. But they think that they're a black belt. So anytime someone offers them new advice, they don't evolve.
David Angel. David is a sales and business coach at the Ultimate Sales Training Academy. He helps founders, sales teams get better at selling and create a more successful business for themselves.
If you have a product or a service that fixes people's problems, you should be excited to help fix that person's problem. The reason that people don't want to sell is because you're focused on what you're going to get out of it, the commission. If you've got someone now and they've got a thorn in their foot and you can remove the thorn and they pay you for the relief of that pain, if you don't help them, they've still got the thorn in their foot. A lot of salespeople never thought they'd be good at selling. They've got up to a certain level. So think of it like in ninja terms, they've become a really strong green belt. But they think that they're a black belt. So anytime someone offers them new advice, they don't evolve.
David Angel. David is a sales and business coach at the Ultimate Sales Training Academy. He helps founders, sales teams get better at selling and create a more successful business for themselves.
If you have a product or a service that fixes people's problems, you should be excited to help fix that person's problem. The reason that people don't want to sell is because you're focused on what you're going to get out of it, the commission. If you've got someone now and they've got a thorn in their foot and you can remove the thorn and they pay you for the relief of that pain, if you don't help them, they've still got the thorn in their foot.
All right. David Angel, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Looking forward to it.
What is the best piece of coaching advice that you've ever received in your career?
One of my favorite things I've heard, and it wasn't even coaching advice delivery, but it was from a podcast, was what you're not changing, you're choosing. And I think it's so simple, but so overlooked that I talk about people all the time. You get someone who goes, I've been trying to give up smoking, for example. I've been trying to give up smoking for 5 years. And you go, no, you haven't. You've had spells where you were trying to give up smoking for 3 weeks, and then for 6 months you smoked. You weren't proactively. So in that gap, you were choosing to be a smoker but wasn't enjoying it because you weren't actively trying to change it. And it's one of the bits of advice that I've loved. And another is, and it was my own one, was actually just do one. Like when I went for a breakdown years ago, it's so easy to be like, oh, I've got to do 100 calls. I've got to do 100 press-ups. I've got to do 1,000 of these. Or no, just do one. Just do one. Just do one press-up. Because if you just did one, you'd probably do 2. And if you did 2, you might do 5. And I think just doing one makes it so hard to not do it that you would feel a bit of a fool to not do the one, but it gets you momentum. So they're my 2.
Has that impacted you? As we jumped on, you just said you've been doing coaching calls and things. What would you say the most kind of impactful piece of advice that you find yourself giving to teams and people, whether it's within sales or exterior?
Stop giving a fuck what people think. Like a lot of people were so caught up with, do you know, I genuinely think we have a problem of, now we've got social media and everything's there. We're so inundated with amazing advice that we overlook some of the basic stuff. I think a lot of people walk around thinking that everyone likes them. And I think one of my biggest things is I know a good 30-40% of people I will ever meet won't remotely like me. And I'm all right with that. And when you stop trying to please everyone, you can really focus on who does like me and who do I help and who do I talk to. And if it's not in that sphere, everything becomes easier. And I think a lot of people are so caught trying to impress everyone, they impress no one, and they don't do anything because they're worried about the opinions of the people. Imagine being a giraffe and you're worried about the opinion of a sheep. You're not going to live the same life. A sheep is going to look at you like an idiot because it's like, what are you doing? But you're a giraffe. You've got to really work it out. And I think a lot of people now that we work with and we coach, they're worried about the opinions of people that have got a life that they don't want, that do things that they don't want, that have opinions that they don't agree with. And you're like, well, if they're obviously not going to like you. You can't stop them You can't stop yourself living your life based on people that you don't want to become. Like, it's crazy.
And do you think that tends to bleed into people's professional lives as well? Because
Oh,
obviously
massively.
you can think that on a personal level, but when it comes to let's use sales as example. I know that's the prime industry that you're in. Like something we talk about a lot is narrowing that audience and finding the right person to be talking to. How much do you think having that personal belief about yourself impacts kind of then carrying it into your professional life?
I think it makes a massive difference. So I work with a lot of founders. So
Right.
we work with salespeople, but we're leaning more into founders. And I know my sweet spot of who I like working with. I like working with someone who's got a higher ticketed product. So I like above $5,000. It's not something too cheap. But they're a founder. They're trying to wear all the hats. They're trying to do everything, and they never bother to learn how to sell. And so this is why we do a lot of stuff for like coaches, consultants, solar companies, like these random industries where they're really good at what they do, but they've never really learned how to communicate properly. And it's normally the same thing for a lot of people where they just assume that them talking was going to make the business grow. They thought if they just turned up with a product, everyone would magically buy. And you go, well, that makes no sense. Like when you really think about it, people are, if it's that good a product, you shouldn't need to sell it. That's just not true in the slightest. Like we live in a world now where people are so overloaded with information. They've got real deal fatigue on making decisions. They get decision fatigue. They're exposed to 100 different ways of cooking your dinner and they don't know which one's what, so they don't do anything. And I think it's so important now to be really like pick a lane, go all in, like bet on yourself, learn the skills, do the execution, do the work, like do it to become your potential. And I think if you really go at it, it's so easy to get head and shoulders above everyone else because most people are saying they're doing stuff and they're so focused on faking what they're doing that they actually aren't doing anything at all.
I read a quote recently that was like, talking about doing the thing takes as much effort as just doing the thing, but you don't actually have anything to show for it.
Massively. I think it's really interesting. People are so keen to be an expert. Well, a client of mine who's got a solar company, he's got a great Facebook ad at the moment. He hates being on camera. And his
Right.
ad is literally, I am not good on camera, but do you know what I'm really good at? Solar. And I mean, it's such a good ad
Yeah.
because he's not trying, you're not aiming to be, as a solar company, a good marketer. You want leads, you want to attract people, but you're better off being an expert at solar. People need to stop trying to, they try and fake being an expert to a level where actually, if you just realize anytime you do something new, you're going to suck for a period of time. But if you fake it, you're always going to stay at the faking level because you've never got the skills to get any further. But you'll start behind here, but you will surpass the faking you very, very fast and forevermore if you just focus on becoming a little bit better every day and a little bit more distinctive about what you're doing, a bit more deliberate on your action. Because as long as you don't keep repeating the same failures, it's easier to move forward. But most people just don't bother trying. They're too worried about, again, what everyone else thinks.
Let's talk about failure a bit because you've spoken at length about this, and it seems to be quite a big theme for you. And initially, when you hear that word, it's got a really negative connotation to it, doesn't it? And immediately, people kind of seize up a bit. But it it tends to. I think you said it happens because we continuously do things we do know, not because of things we don't know.
Yeah.
Can you get into what that means for you?
Once the pain's left, there's normally a lesson. And the problem we've got with failure is people get so caught up with the pain in the moment of failure, not the fact that once I get through this, like there's nothing that's permanent. And so your failures aren't permanent, your successes aren't permanent. And a lot of people walk around living the successes of 5 years ago. And they're so caught up on that one little win and repeating, talking about that win, but they don't try and go out and actually do new stuff. And I think for a lot of people out there now, they're doing themselves a disservice trying to be the perfect person that always wins. Like I talk about my failures all the time. I talk about having a breakdown, getting addicted to drink, getting addicted to drugs, like losing my home, losing my businesses. Not because I'm showing off about it, because I'm also a bit like with Eminem in 8 Mile, where like if you own all your failures, people can't use it as a weapon against you. And it also doesn't eat away at you when you're having a bad time, because we all will have bad times. Even when you're like, you think of it like football. You could be the best team on the pitch. You could play the hardest. You could have the best skills, the best mindset, the best coach, the best. You could play the best, and you could still lose. Like, it can still happen. It is not a distinction between you lost because you were no good. Sometimes you just lose. And if you're always worried about losing, you'll never take action. The whole idea of being an entrepreneur is around the idea of taking risks for the reward of profit or whatever it is, something like that. So if you're not prepared to go out and make the attempt, if you're not going to take the shot, you've missed anyway. And most people out there love to sit in the stands judging others' failures because it stops people looking at themselves. Like I always say, no clients come from my comment section. I can't remember the last time someone commented on a post and became a client. And it's like the people sat in the crowd. We've all watched boxing and UFC and like you're into windsurf. Like you can watch it and without realizing we're judging that person. Right? And you realize that when you're in that moment windsurfing, when people are in the ring, when the people are kicking the ball and are on the pitch, you are not paying attention to the people in the stands. The only time the people in the stands get any attention is when they're heckling and they grab your attention away from the very thing you're meant to be doing. And if you're listening to the comments of others, you're not focused on what you're doing.
How does that bleed into the founders you've worked with as well? Because typically that is a risky maneuver, founding your own company, doing it, and they've probably come from a string of failures. What's their relationship tend to be, and how do you go about coaching them when it comes to, I don't know, say building a team or creating a sales system? You know, your mate in solar who, building that.
I think a lot of people out there, they get worried about selling. They see it like a dirty word. Oh, I don't want to sell. And I'm like, what do you even think selling is? Like selling is change. It's something new. It's a new path. Like if you have a product or a service that fixes people's problems, you should be excited to help fix that person's problem. The reason that people don't want to sell is because you're focused in the nicest way, being a selfish prick and focused on what you're going to get out of it, the commission. That's why you don't want to sell. Oh, I don't want to do it because I don't want to push people to do it. But if you've got someone now and they've got a thorn in their foot and you can remove the thorn and they pay you for the relief of that pain, if you don't help them, they've still got the thorn in their foot. No one likes going to the dentist and having an abscess in their mouth, but no one likes to sit at home with an abscess in their mouth. Does anyone enjoy paying a dentist for that? No. But once you're home later and the pain's gone and you're eating normally and you don't look like the elephant man, you forget about what you paid. You just get on with your life. And people need to stop being so selfish about the whole selling thing. And you want to get focused on meeting people where they are and helping them help them fix the problem by you fixing the problem, or help them get to a stage where they even choose someone else. Like I have people all the time that will have a call with us or have a call with a team. And I'm like, make sure that the timer with that person was a benefit to them. Even if they go to someone else, let's say that you're a solar company, like you're someone interested in solar and I'm a solar company. My job is to help you get sold on solar or not. And if it's, I'm never going to buy solar, cool, you made a distinction. Now go and work out what you're going to do to fix your problem about energy bills. If you are sold on solar, brilliant. Now you've got to choose who to work with. If that's us, great. If not, you've still got this fix. And if you focus on helping people make solutions happen, getting rid of the problems, you make more money. This is why a lot of our clients will go from 15% to 60% conversions. It's because they're focused on helping people. So when people leave and go, hey, listen, thanks for this, but I've decided I don't like you, or I don't want your product, or I don't want your service, I'm going to go in a completely different path. Good, get rid of them. Thank them for their time, get them on the path, and realize that you helped them for that small amount of time you're in your journey. I think when founders get that way in mind, you are far more intentional about having better conversations and you listen more, you're more curious, you want to help them because you're genuinely not just trying to be like, I'll get them to say yes 6 times and then I'll ask them for the order. Nah, you're listening to actually think, is this going to make their life better? Is things going to be good for them? Is this a fit for them? Is their life going to be improved by this? Is the pain going to go by this? Because you're genuinely trying to help them get to that next stage. And it sounds so cheesy, but it just makes sense.
Would you say, because there's so many different things there, is that an issue that often comes from the founder not setting up the right culture within a team to try and foster that sort of vibe within it? Or is that a kind of broader problem with just the sales industry as a whole? Or is it a problem with the individuals that make up that team? Do you see where I'm going here? Like, is that
no. So saying sales is like saying sports.
right?
You've got inbound, outbound, B2B, B2C, low ticket, high ticket. You've got selling over the phone, face-to-face, webinars. You've got all these different areas of sales. And so it really depends what you're trying to do. But I think as an industry, a lot of salespeople never thought they'd be good at selling. They've got up to a certain level. So think of it like in ninja terms, they've become a really strong green belt. But they think that they're a black belt. So anytime someone offers them new advice, they don't evolve. And so they stay at a green belt. But over time, those skills erode. And so the green belt of today is actually an orange belt of next year. But it's basically like a crappy white belt in 5 years' time. Right. And so there's a lot of people that don't know that what they're currently doing is out of date. And they start moaning about the industry and this has changed. And it ain't like it used to be, Colin. But no, it's not. It's because in the same way, if you didn't go to the gym for 5 years, you wouldn't keep that muscle. If you didn't windsurf for 5 years, you'd keep some of the skills, but you wouldn't be as sharp. A lot of people in sales got to a level that made them more money than they thought they would. They then decided to just stay at that level, not knowing that over time that has decreased. And so then we end up in a situation that people are product pushing. They're using out of date things. Everyone knows who Alex Hormozy was, right? Now, there's people still messaging me in my inbox now that say, would you be opposed to taking on an appointment? Like, stop asking if I'd be opposed to it. It worked 4 years ago, but now there's 40,000 people that are spamming people saying opposed. So now everyone doesn't agree to it as much because they know exactly what you're doing. And I think with sales and for founders and for salespeople, they get so caught up on this used to work and they latch onto it rather than actually going back to helping people. And I think it's such a mistake for such a career and such an industry that can do so well if you get it right.
It's so interesting to have this through line. So last week I had a guy called Richard Blundell on, who's an author. He wrote a book about kind of B2B GTM SaaS businesses and, you know, how to sell and things like that. And he kind of framed it very similarly to you. And he was like, nobody gives a shit about your product or what the color is or what it looks like. All they care about is the problems that it solves. And all the salespeople care about is, how is this going to affect my bonus so that I can take my family on holiday and pay for the wedding and all this sort of stuff? Does that kind of resonate with you as well?
Massively. And so this is the thing I've got with it. People don't care about our products. Couldn't give a fuck. No one cares. They care about, is it going to get me to what? Is it going to get rid of my pain? Is it going to give me the thing I want? And what is the worst case scenario? Like, what do I believe? Not what you're telling me, but what do I believe the worst case scenario is? Think of it like if I own a car. Say I've got a £40,000 BMW M3. If I'm selling it to you for £30,000, that's easy to say yes to because you're like, I could buy it now, I'll drive it 3 months, sell it and still make money. If I want to sell that car at £40,000 and you think the value of it's £40,000, it's not as big a decision. If you think the value of it's only 30,000, there's even less point in you buying it because there's no reason. And what a lot of people do, they start talking about the brands or the feature pivot benefit, and they talk about this, and the person isn't even sold on the idea of the product yet. So all the stuff you're doing, it's just spewing this crap. I talk to people all the time, and it's so interesting that people watch we post a lot of sales calls on my content. And very rare do you ever hear me talk about a product. Pretty much all the stuff we're talking about, it's about perspective, belief, understanding, misconceptions, fears, knowledge. All of that stuff is actually what happens. And a lot of people, they need to have like a switch click inside of them to make a buying decision. And they'll need to have a change in a belief or overcome change in misconception, overcome a fear, or buy a certain degree of certainty. And a lot of people, the way they buy, they don't know what triggers them. So you think about it now. I talked to a guy today and he sits on the fence. He'll come up with every excuse under the sun. But actually, all he really gives a shit about is he's hunting for 110% certainty that this is going to work. And I say to people all the time, when are you going to get 110% certainty? Do you think you're going to get it before you buy the product or 3 months after you've had it and you've got the result? And they're like, well, after they get the result. I said, so are we looking for something that you just can't find? Because if you're looking to make a decision when you've got 110% certainty, but you're not going to get 110% certainty till 3 months after you bought the product, how are you ever going to make a buying decision? And we're like, well, I'm not. Okay, so what do we need to do? Well, we need to look at what's the worst case scenario. And if the worst case scenario puts me in a better place than keeping the money in the bank, then I can move forward. And I think it's so much easier when you start thinking about helping people get out of their own way.
So what can founders or head of teams, leaders, people in leadership positions, what decisions can they make to help empower their teams to behave more like the way you've just said, rather than, the Alex Hormozy method?
And again, Alex Hormozy is great, but do what
Yeah.
Alex Hormozy is doing now, not what he did in a book 4 years ago. Because again, if Alex Hormozy wasn't as viral and you picked up his book on a shelf and no one knew who he was, that advice would be valid today. But because he was so viral, because so many people have seen it, so many people have watched for free content, so many people have adopted it. And if everyone's zigging, you should probably zag. So whatever anyone is doing, if they do, you're seeing it everywhere, it's probably losing its potency. Think of it like being a comedian. If you saw 100 comedians and they all told the same joke, you would not laugh. It could be the best joke in the world, but it's only the best joke in the world when it makes people laugh. And so for a lot of people out there, I think if I give someone a bit of advice, irrelevant of industry, it's stay in the pocket for 10 minutes after an objection. Not in like a hammer people, but be competent. But when someone's got a hurdle or a problem, instead of being like, I'm trying to force them into my product, be at a stage where like in my head, I'm just going to chat to them for 10 minutes. Like, can you hold a conversation with someone for 10 minutes that they enjoy? Not that you're pressuring them, that they are like, this guy's fucking great. Like, if you can do that, if you can make someone go from increased resistance to enjoying talking to you for 10 minutes, you are massively increased the opportunity that they're going to make a decision either for you or against you, but make a decision either way. And a lot of people out there, they get caught up with trying to feel, felt, found, which did work years ago. It's all this stuff, getting people to say, yes, it did work years ago. But actually focus on, if my goal is to help you, irrelevant if you buy from me or not, stay in the pocket for 10 minutes with a conversation with someone when they're in a position of pain, when they're worried, when they're scared, you can be a friend and they enjoy it. That's the key part. And they enjoy it. You will massively see a big bit of increase, a spike in conversion conversations, because a lot of the time in there, people are uncertain, they're nervous and they're worried. And if all you're trying to do is make them say yes, you will make them say yes to you now and they will cancel later. Don't force people to buy your shit. Get people to make a decision either way. Like I'm saying to people all the time, if you tell me on a call, I fucking hate you, Dave, I don't want to work with you, I'm completely fine with that. Like, all right. We actually put it in part of our conversation when we have our setters. They'll send them a video and they say, hey, listen, when you watch the video, say you've got a call booked for Friday. When you watch a video today before 4:00, if you watch it and you hate the video, you hate Dave's face, text back, I hate Dave, and we'll just cancel your appointment. We won't even try and chase you up. Is that fair enough? And they're like, yeah, we haven't had anyone yet say, I hate Dave.
And they probably quite like it. It's something a bit, like you said, you're zagging rather than zigging, right?
Exactly. And it's very strong language. And so it's very easy to be at the stage of, we're not here. I say to people all the time, I don't need the business, but I value it. But I also know you sitting in the pocket with me when I'm in a position of pain is actually really reassuring. We've all done stuff. Like I done a skydive years ago. Must be like 15 years ago now. And I knew when I turned up there, I didn't turn up there arrogantly being like, well, I'm going to jump out of a plane. I was bricking it.
Yeah, bet.
Like I was scared. I didn't fly on a plane until I was 25. I was so petrified of flying. And I then went on a flight. I was my girlfriend at the time flew for Virgin, so I flew in upper class first time. I was like, this is great. And I was like, I'm going to go do a skydive. I knew instantly when I committed to it, I was going to be petrified. So you know what I did? When I turned up at the skydiving place, I said to the guy, hey, I'm only doing this on one condition. He went, what? I'm first out of the plane. He went, why? I went, not in an arrogant way. I went, if I have to watch 15 other people freak out about getting a plane, I won't go. I need to be at the stage that there's 15 people behind me because I know that I won't have the bollocks to back down in front of them. If I'm the last one in the plane with people, I will 100% brick it. So it's understanding where we're in. So I had a conversation with the guy beforehand, and I was really honest. This is what I think. This is what I feel. And he stayed in the pocket with me for a good 10 minutes. And he wasn't even asking. He wasn't even telling me. He wasn't dictating to me. He was just asking questions. It was such a good sale. And I'd already sold on it, but I hadn't jumped out the plane. So I wasn't sold on the moment. So he was asking, well, why do you think that? And how come that? And what do you think is going to happen when the doors open? And how do you think you're going to feel when you put have you ever done a skydive?
No, mate, no way.
So when you put your legs out of the plane and you're doing whatever is 150 mile an hour, obviously your legs suddenly push to the side. But if he hadn't have had that conversation with me beforehand, when we got up and I put my legs out of the plane, I would have got into more panic. But he sat in the pocket with me for 10 minutes and we went through, okay, so we're in a plane, and it was on like a grass runway, this place. So he said, when we're going to take off, it'll feel like the plane's going to crash. He said, because it's on a bump. Brilliant. When we go up, like, we'll probably slide back a little bit. He said, but we'll just go into the wall. He said, that's solid. Okay, brilliant. So he went through each stage of panic of what would happen. What do you think happened to my level of confidence when all those things happened? I was like, I'm in the right place. 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 But all those things, if I hadn't have had that conversation, I'd have been, I'm in the wrong place. This is terrible. This is shit. I'm going to die. Fucking hell. Why do people do this? And this is why staying in the pocket with people and getting them to enjoy the conversation dramatically improves it, irrelevant of what business you're at. Because what we want to remember is when you're on a sales call or a conversation, a decision happens either way. They either choose not to work with you or they choose to work with you. It's not I choose to think about it. I choose to think about it is I've chosen not to work with you, even if it's just for now. It's a T junction in the road and they're choosing no or they're choosing yes. It's not it's going to wander off and hope for the best. And if you get in the habit of staying in the conversation with people, a lot of people I genuinely feel are more reassured. And if they make a decision to not work with you, it's done and it's final, saves you time. And if they do move forward, a lot of people are like, oh, thanks for sticking with me on that, because I was fucking scared a little bit there. So you like, it just helps either way.
You've said before you've had this term unconsciously competent, and it sounds like that's exactly what your skydiving instructor was. And I'm sure he's had a few thousand Daves before, getting up there and going, mate, I'm really nervous about this and I don't like it and I want to be, I'm sure that's not the first time he's had that conversation.
100%.
Is that, would you say that is a good example of that unconscious competence?
Yeah,
it felt
I think
natural for him. And
so when I get on Zoom calls, and this is something to do, I think a lot of salespeople are too scared to do, is call out people's bullshit, depending on the environment you're in, but call people's bullshit out, say it in a nice way or not. Like if I had a guy recently working with a really good company in the property education space, and his sales guy, who I'm training in high ticket sales, he'd come from another environment, started as an appointment setter, crushed. Then he moved into closing within like 6 weeks, really doing well, really took on the coaching. And he got on, and instantly I could tell by his eyes, he was not 100% in the moment. Like I could see he looked like a bit of a wounded animal. And I was like, mate, before we start, what's happened? He went, what do you mean? I went, you are not vibing on it. Or either something's happened externally or like you're not vibing on this yet today. What's going on? And he went, oh, mate, I'm so glad you said that. He said, my head's up my ass. How did you know? I went, I'm just looking at your eyes. I'm not thinking about a pitch or a structure because I'm genuinely focused on trying to help you. And if I feel you look scared, worried, in fear, in pain, and I brush past that, that will become the anchor for the rest of the hour. I had another guy before, he picked his phone up halfway through talking to me and I was like, do you need to get that? And he went, oh no, it's nothing serious.
Go down then.
Well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he went, oh, I was just thinking about something. What are you thinking about? And he was like, oh, it's not about, I went, are you just nervous about something? Like it's not the phone, but you weren't 100% on this call right now. And there's a reason behind it. Like you're okay to not be 100% focused on this call, but there's a reason you took this call. Like you wanted help. Are you just scared I'm going to screw you? Like, are you scared we're going to hypnotize you with a fucking watch and make you, like, what are you worried about? And he went, oh, I've done this before, like, and it didn't work out and I got screwed and my missus went mad. So this whole conversation come out. But imagine if I hadn't have brought that up. The phone was irrelevant. But he was like on an escapism, trying to escape through the phone. He was nervous. He was worried. But imagine if I hadn't have brought that up and I sat on a call for an hour with this guy, he wouldn't have got the help because he would have been distracted, but he masked it on the call to make it look like he was paying attention. And it makes such a difference when people get it right. And that's unconsciously competent, right? Because you're so in the moment with your skills, with your mindset, with your focus, but you can watch for small things that they're doing to really notice what's going on. And you're confident and you got the self-awareness that I'm not desperate for the deal. I really just want to make sure I'm helping people.
Would you say the only way to become that is through just time and lived experience and kind of doing the 10,000 hours? Or is there a certain precursor that some people have within them to be able to do that quicker? What are some kind of skills?
I think the 10,000 hours is a really good number, but I think people really overlook what 100 to 500 hours of something will do for your life.
One at a time again.
If I said now, me and you are going to sit down and learn Cantonese, I imagine the first 10 hours would be horrific.
Yeah.
Awful. And then we'll have a couple of moments where you get a word right or you do, and it will boost your confidence. I reckon 100 hours of learning Cantonese or anything else, if you're 100% focused and you had a good teacher and you had a good structure and you were focused, 100 hours, you'd be all right. You wouldn't be fluent, but you'd be far better than a complete novice never done it. Go windsurfing. If I windsurfed for 100 hours and I did it 4 days a week for those 100 hours, how good would I be at the end of those 100 hours?
Yeah, you'd be pretty good.
Yeah. And pretty good is better than 90% of people for windsurfing, right?
Anything.
So if you want to get to the top 20% of the people in the world at the thing you're doing, 100, 200, 500 hours is plenty. 10,000 hours, yeah, that's getting mastery. But are you trying to become Tony Robbins? Or actually, you don't need to be the fastest gazelle. You just got to be faster than the slowest one to not get eaten by the lion, right?
Yeah.
If you're in the top 20, 30, 40, 50% of your industry, you're going to be doing better than most. And that doesn't need 10,000 hours. So we have people now we work with for 4 hours. And in 4 hours, they go, oh my God, I've been doing 60% of my shit backwards. And I say it's a bit like imagine I go back to football. I'm not even a football fan. I don't know why I use football so much. But imagine if you're in goal, pass me the ball, I run out of my defender box, I go past all the players, I get up to midfield, I get into their half, I go past, I get all the way down, I'm skinning the defender, I'm past them, I go take a shot on goal, and I'm 5% off target. I've done all of that work that was great. And then my shot was just off. It doesn't mean everything I did was wrong. And some people are at the stage that they've only done 20 hours or something, but they're naturally capable at doing all that stuff. They're just shit at shooting on goal. And they're only just one adjustment from being great. And a lot of people, because they don't have the results, assume it must be a big problem. The amount of people I work with where I'll be like, right, they'll start with us, and I'll be like, record your calls just turn the recording thing on for the next week. And I'll paste it through AI and ask AI, tell me how many times on each call that they asked for the order. And it will come back a lot of the time, 30, 40%. They didn't even ask for the order once. It's like playing football and not even shooting at goal. I'd be like, well, I can't believe we didn't score. You didn't kick the ball at the goal. Like if you never take a shot on goal, you are never scoring a goal. And so that's not even a problem around skills or anything else. It's just execution. You're just not doing the thing that will get you the result.
And often within that execution, it is, as you said, those tiny little things that just slowly start to drift, and people don't really notice until it's too late, right?
Well, have you ever read Atomic Habits?
Yes, I read it quite a few years ago, though, but I get James Clear's weekly emails and stuff. So, yeah, nice. Pretty familiar with it.
So when he's talking about the 1% incremental gains of doing that one thing, but it's actually the same in the opposite, right? In the decreased ability. Think of it like when someone hires a new member of staff. And they come in and they're like on it. They're super motivated, super positive. They're focused. They're working really hard. And everyone's like, oh my God, Sarah's kicking ass. We're all going to have to level up. And a month later, you come back and Sarah's average. She didn't wake up on any single day and be like, I'm going to be average. All she did was 1% lower, 1% less effort, 1% there, 1%. And over a month, 30% has disappeared. And that 30% is the difference between being average and being outstanding. And a lot of people out there, they don't realize the stuff that they're not doing anymore. Have you ever had stuff like a skill or a thing you've done and you suddenly go, fuck, I used to do this all the time. And you just forget that you used to do a thing. And this is why it's so important to have structure and strategies and processes of when this happens, do this. And when I do that, and when this happens, we do this, rather than just winging it. Because if you leave it down to winging it, you don't know what you're not doing because you're just going based on mood of the day. And none of us are that bright.
Well, also, it's so difficult to diagnose yourself in the moment as well. And you end up not doing it and then you wait till it's too late.
Well, think of it like being a boxer. Imagine if we saw whoever, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, come out for a heavyweight boxing championship, the final, it's it. And they come out on their own. No corner man. Like, you're right, he's either God at boxing or he's an absolute idiot. Most of us would expect him to be an idiot. Because while he's in the ring, trying to throw the punches, block, not get knocked out, knock him out, wound him, blah, 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 his corner man is seeing that right hand keeps dropping down. He's doing this before he does that. Oh, if we do this, he can do that. And you can't see that while you're in the fight. You assume your guard is up. He assumes his guard's up. You assume you're not giving cues. He assumes he's not giving cues. But the corner man can see the slight differences or the big differences that you can't see. And if you're not looking back at what you're doing, you are just arrogant thinking, oh, I'm just great. And I think that's the problem for a lot of people. Oh, no, I'm great. Oh, my results are really good. I earned 30 grand last month. Whoa. Okay, cool. But sometimes we've lucked into that. And a lot of people in sales forget those times when you lucked into a deal that just fell into your lap that gave you 30% of target. And you start, yeah, I know, I was great this month. I really put the work in. You're like, don't believe your own bullshit. You fell into that last deal and you'd have been massively behind if it wasn't. And I think we've got to get good at having a system, having a process, having people around, looking back, watching the tapes, listen to the calls, and really sort of self-assessing. And when you do that enough, that can build the confidence. You don't need to do it as much, but it's still really important.
Where have you seen in your experience coaching founders, or, I think you did sales before, but as you said, you're focusing on founders now. Where do you find those systems need to be implemented most? Is it kind of at the top in those leadership positions and trickling down, or is it you kind of go and speak to the teams and sort of coach them individually? I know there's so many AI tools now and sort of things.
I think
like
AI is great. So think of it like farming. If you got Sandy's farm and you've got one field and you can mow and plow that thing with one horse and plow, and then you buy a tractor so you can do 5 fields. That's what AI is. AI is the tractor of a farm, right? Suddenly you could do 50 fields in a second, but you still got to fucking plow the field. You just don't have to pull a horse. And you can do 50 fields more. And actually now, if you had a farm that didn't have a tractor, you wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit more like that. And I think for a lot of people, yes, find the tools that work, but do stuff. What you're not changing, you're choosing. If your business is absolutely flying and everyone in your team is doing great, give them a high five and keep them going. Good for you. But be honest about the data. I think most people don't track the data. Don't even not on a basic level. They're just like, oh, yeah, well, it's this and it's that. And you're like, what are we doing here? How many people did you speak to for more than a minute? I don't know. Why? Now, we've got quite a few companies at the moment and they'll generate. So a lot of ours is 2-stage process. They'll get leads in, appointment setting, closing. And they'll be like, oh, we get 100 leads a month and we'll get 30 appointments. Oh, 30%, sorry, we'll turn into appointment, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool. What's your lead spoken to appointment? I don't know. I'm like, isn't that more important? Because the ones that you didn't speak to, you never spoke to, that's something to talk to your marketing company about. And we did it for one of the companies and they just started with us. And they were doing 74% of the leads that they spoke to turned into an appointment. 74%.
Wow.
I'm like, my God, that's amazing. He's like, is that good? I'm like, yes. The problem is you need to get your marketing people to get you more leads to speak to. Because your appointment setters killing it. But what we're doing is they're spending a lot of time dialing and filing because they're not getting the leads at answering the call. So then what would a bad company would do is then they'd start pulling their appointments. Oh, you're doing really crap. We're only getting 30% of our things. But the appointment says, hang on, I'm doing great. If you're not tracking the numbers, you start changing the wrong thing. start telling a team member that they're shit and their numbers aren't right, and then you lose confidence, you lose a good. But actually, they're an absolute legend who's hitting 70+%. The problem is the marketing side, for whatever is going on, we're not getting the alignment from when the lead comes in to answering. So then we change the wrong thing. And so I think for a lot of the stuff, it's getting better at tracking the base numbers, knowing what the goals are, and then working out which levers to move.
Do you think that tends to be what sort of consistently breaks down with these companies? Do you think it's like a lack of, I guess, communication between departments? Like I guess it comes down to like accountability. You know, when you are having these conversations and coaching people, where do you tend to lie that accountability, or is it bespoke depending on the problem and the company and what's going on?
I think a lot of the time out there, the way you start a relationship in personal life and in business, think of like if you start dating now, me and you start dating, Sandy, you're my type, we start dating, and you do shit that annoys me all the time, and I just let it slide for the first 3 months. You don't know there's a problem. I eventually get pissed off about the problem, and then I moan about it, and you're like, hang on a minute, you never used to care about this before. That's what happens in business. People are, why haven't you been doing that? You go, no one ever told me. Like, get clear about the expectations. Plan for divorce in business. What are the problems? What are the hurdles? Where are we at? What do we need to do? What are we focused on? What's our expectation? Is our expectation actually realistic? Prime example, if you're selling over the phone now, we all know now that you pick up the phone, most of the numbers you phone is going to be, please tell us after the tone who is calling, and it'll put you on hold. That lowers the amount of numbers you can phone and massively lowers the amount of contact rate you've got. So you trying to do the same shit you're doing 2 years ago ain't going to slide no more. And then you go, well, my team's not working hard enough. The numbers have dropped. Yeah, I know, but that's like AI. So then AI is working against us. So what can you do with AI to get it to work for you? And eventually it levels out. So then we're just more things are happening to get the same result. And I think that's the big thing people forget with AI. AI is great. And if you don't use it, you will be at a disadvantage. But there's going to be certain AIs that are going to work against you, and there's certain AIs that could work for you. And if you don't have either, you're fucked.
It was also really interesting. Again, in another conversation I had, it was a lot of people on the AI thing. People still are hesitant about it. Everyone's recognizing, like you said, that they need it and it's going to help and it's going to make you more consistent and, you know, improve your execution and things like that. But also certain people are still reticent about it and almost fearful of it.
Yeah.
To the point where they kind of do then resist it and then fall behind. And that can be individuals within an organization that are utilizing it heavily as well.
Some people are trying to hold on to their job like it's a tenure position.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that are trying to stick in tenure for their job. They're just worried about the bonus. I mean, I don't want to, if I start looking at AI and I mess it up, my job's going to be on the line. I think for a lot of people out there now, you're using AI anyway. You just don't realize it.
I think, yeah, it sounds like that's kind of counterintuitive because surely if you want to keep your job, I don't know. I'm not a believer of this whole AI replacing.
AI doesn't stop it existing.
Exactly.
It just makes you ignorant. Like with the amount of people out there before that didn't want to move to computers and, I like to do it this way. We do an old school way, and that's fine. If you've got a super expensive product where people are like, we're going to pay 5 times as much because you write every note or whatever it's going to be. But imagine having a business now without a computer. Imagine not using a phone. Oh, we like to walk to our clients and meet them. Yeah, that's lovely. It's not the fucking most useful. And the longer that people wait, the harder it's going to be. And the problem that happens is, I don't think it's for people that are against AI that are the problem. I think the problem actually lies with the people that were hesitant for AI, now love it, and now they're like getting the tractor to make its dinner and do the school run and like just fucking give it everything. Like, and that's what people are now doing. We'll use AI for stuff. So when our clients enroll with us, we have a 150-page document, which are pitches, scripts, conversations, psychology, what we do here, the psychology behind that. Da, da, da. So we can upload that into AI when a new client comes in. And that saves me, I think, probably 40 hours worth of singular work.
Wow.
In 2 minutes. And it then has a base for training what we're going to do for that client. Now, that means for me, I can train more clients, but it also means we can be faster to help clients. If someone said, well, oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, it's cheating. No, that's not. So in the same way, you can go and buy a microwave meal for £3. You go and buy one from Lidl, the quality isn't always going to be there. Go and buy one from Marks and Spencer's. It might be a lot better. You want to go Fortnum and Mason and they give you a ready-made meal, but you can ping in a microwave. Probably going to be loads better. Like, it's still a microwave meal. Like, it's how you use the microwave that really matters, and the things you're putting into the microwave. Where the same with AI. AI is not the problem. It's the numpties using AI that feel like, oh my God, this is incredible. I just get it to do stuff. And you're like, oh. And it's like the cat sat on the mat version. That's the problem we have with a lot of it.
Yeah, it's like what I was saying. I don't think it's going to replace a lot of people's jobs. I think it's just going to make life easier for the ones who learn how to use it efficiently. I think there's still going to be that human driver. So for that sales rep that you were talking about, going, right, well, I'm just going to, ignore it and push back on it. I think actually the reverse of their expectation is going to happen, because they're going to become obsolete very quickly by
I think
other members of the team.
Heard of VAPI AI? VAPI.ai. So it's like, it does like phone calls. It's really, really good.
Cool.
Is it perfect? No. Is it like a human? 70, 80%. The problem is it's that lag after you speak before it speaks when it thinks. So that's the obvious part. Where's that going to be in another year or similar? It's going to be up there. But I also think we will get to the stage, if you adopt with AI properly and you still have your skills, there will be a time where people crave human attention.
Agree.
Do you remember when predictive dialers came out? And everyone was, oh my God, this is the death of salespeople. Everyone's just going on dialers. And suddenly rules and regulations came in and you had to notify this and you had the 2-second thing on that. And actually went back to people, oh my God, this is really great. And then it's, oh my God, this is terrible. And I think there will be a thing eventually where people have to, it'll be a different color or something will come up to say it's AI. And people will then get to the stage of that they'll be craving human attention. And for those that have still been in the sales gym, keeping their reps up, will absolutely crush. The people that are relying on AI and their bones and muscles have withered will suddenly be an absolute problem for them. It really will.
It's like you said, goes back to the beginning. It's taking those 10 minutes to just talk to someone on a level. And again, like through this podcast, this is a conversation I consistently have with people like, yeah, AI is brilliant. It's awesome. It's lovely. But actually, like, I'm very lucky. I look forward to being able to do this. I get 1 hour a week where I get to talk to a human I've never met, and I don't look at my phone and I don't do anything. And I get nervous beforehand, but then at the end, I get this enormous, like, fulfillment of like, that was such a lovely way to spend an hour.
I get anxiety before most Zoom calls.
Yeah.
I do, like, we do quite a lot of social media lives, and I'm always filled with like this weird, and in my head, I'm like, this will be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But I still have this anxiety and dread, and my fucking forehead's hot or whatever it is. Like, go and talk on stage. I'm an absolute wreck for half hour before. Mm-hmm. And then you'll do the thing. And this is the problem I think with life now, is because there's so many, it's because I've got anxiety. And I suffer with anxiety. I've suffered with depression. Fucking drug addict. Fucked it all up. And I'm still very much of a mindfulness. So when people, I suffer with anxiety, I can't do that. No, you're letting that label control you and define you. Because I know from my own experience, the amount of things that I have not wanted to do. Jumping out of a plane. Do you think I wanted to jump out of the plane when my legs were hanging up? No. But the only way I'm going to get the rush of free falling, which was by far one of the best experiences of my life, was to jump out of a plane. Now, if I got back to a plane, I would still have that same anxiety, maybe even worse. And it's, for a lot of people out there, they are capping their ability and their life by nerves. And they genuinely are. And it's like, we've got to attach this massive label. And I'm not saying mental health doesn't matter. I'm not saying anxiety, it does. But just because you're anxious doesn't mean you can't do it. Just because you're nervous doesn't mean it's wrong. In the same way, just because you're confident doesn't make you right. And I think people need to do the reps, fall in love with the process, get out there and do more stuff. And everything just gets magically better.
I agree. That's a wonderful place to wrap up on. David, this has been awesome sharing your insights.
Thanks, mate.
Where can people go if they want to find out more about what you get up to?
David the Sales Angel on pretty much any social media. If you've got a business and you want to speak to someone, you could go to TUSTA, which is the Ultimate Sales Training Academy, tusta.co.uk/audit. We do like business audits. But genuinely, for most people, or we've got the Sales Masters podcast. But most people, just go to my Instagram. We post live sales calls. Most people don't need my help. Most people can go and make more money by just following my content, implementing the free shit, and then use that money to then hire someone properly to do it. It's genuinely the easiest way to do things.
Love it.
Thanks for having me on.
David, thank you. Everyone listening, thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. And we will see you all for the next one.
Bye.